I honestly don't know how long this video is going to be today because I realized for this prompt, I have to be really careful not to give like spoilers of incidents that I feel reflect why I'm choosing the character I am for today's prompt. Hello friends, happy Wednesday. So very excited that you're here. We're going to be talking about some really amazing guys here, though some people, I don't know, they might not feel quite the same. I don't know, but hopefully you guys will enjoy it. This prompt was actually inspired by a conversation me and my friend had, and that was my friend Danielle, and she's like, what about if you did a touch her and you die kind of prompt thing? And I was like, yes. And it was funny because literally after she said that, probably within like 5 to 10 minutes, I had an instant list, which is really rare for me, okay? I will have an idea and then I'll have like 2 picks for that prompt and then that's it. But this one, I had 5 instantly. Though one of them I did change, and I was gonna say Hawk from of the Dawn. I really feel like he gives the vibe of, if you touch Yona, you die. But then I was talking to some friends on Discord, and my friend Liz, hopefully I'm saying her name right today. I'm working on it, y'all. I'm working on it. But we were talking and she sent some photos from, I think it was volume 14 going into volume 15 or volume 15. And I was like, he may have the vibes of having this trope, but he does not give in to that urge or that desire to like annihilate anybody who touches Yona. And if you've read Yona, you definitely know that there have been bad guys who've definitely tried to take her out, and her life has been on the line. And Hawk has definitely, I think, acted in defense of what's been done to her, but he really does let Yona make the decisions she wants to of being more independent. And so I was like, I don't think he would be good for this prompt in the long run compared to the other guys who have all beaten up somebody for the sake of their woman. So I was like, yeah, but don't worry, I do have a prompt coming up in December for Hawk, and I'm really excited. Oh, he'll be like part of it, I should say. It wasn't just specifically for him. But anyway, ramble aside, I guess we'll go ahead and start with number 1 here. I felt a little bit bad because I feel like he is on the tamer side of this cliche or this trope, whatever you call it. I'm gonna say Suzumura from Mint Chocolate. He was definitely one of the first guys that came to mind. Specifically, I'm gonna say the whole arc with the class president. And it is actually in this volume where he does go and he does punch somebody because of what they did to his woman. And I said, okay, I see you, Suzumura. And I do have a review on this series because I was on the fence originally, but these characters have been amazing. Going back to, touch his girl and you die, I feel like that's sort of the only big moment we see when he has major beef with the class president and takes action into his own hands. I feel like because he has his best friend, and I'm blanking on his name. I love his best friend so much. He's so amazing. And him and his girl, they're fine. And Suzumura doesn't have any issues with that. But I do feel like if some other dude tried to come that was their age, because you can't include this cute little precious little kid right here because he's a precious little bean. You can't include him. But what other people have, I do feel like Suzumura is going to make it known. You better not touch her. You better not even be around her. You probably better not even talk to her unless you're willing to risk having his wrath. So I feel like even though he's more on the tamer side of all of my picks today, I really do feel like he lives out this trope really well in a high school setting as a young high school person. So don't want to say anymore, but I will say it was really satisfying when he came to her aid, and I was here for it. Maybe that sounds really bad, but it was really good. For number 2, oh my goodness, I'm gonna say Alan from I'm Giving the Disgraced Noble Lady I Rescued, a Crash Course in Naughtiness. How many people has Alan beat up in this series for the sake of Charlotte? I mean, I think I said that right. Charlotte is not pro-violence. I'm not either. But Alan has done shady things in the, behind the scenes when it comes to her, when people have touched her, when she has been kidnapped, and even in this final volume when she tripped. I can't remember if it was purposeful. It seemed pretty purposeful purposeful, and yeah, they didn't want to apologize, and Alan took matters into his own hands to make them regret even thinking of even remotely just tripping his woman. Just tripping, okay? Just not even talking to her. Honestly, it's not just Charlotte, but also her familiars are the same way. I feel like how many times have the familiars wanted to go and get revenge for Charlotte to her ex-fiance and how much of a jerk he is? And if Alan knew that Charlotte would not lecture him or be against him or be upset with him, we all know Alan, in a heartbeat, he would go take out that ex-fiance. Like, there's no doubts. There's no doubts. He has talked about that in one of the volumes. I'm not really sure, but I know he's mentioned that, and the only reason he doesn't is because of Charlotte alone. And I feel like sometimes he acts a little calmer for the sake of Charlotte, but man, yeah, he has definitely beaten up so many people, and it definitely makes for funny moments. I think it was there, yeah, wasn't it, where she goes to town by herself when that one time when she was kidnapped, and then in the latest volume, as I said earlier, of which she got tripped. I mean, there's numerous examples for Alan here of living out this trope, and I love him for it though, because Charlotte has been through so much and she needs somebody, I feel like, to defend her, even though I do feel bad for sometimes when Alan beats up people that probably didn't need to always get beaten up, but they learned their lesson. They learned their lesson and they hold Charlotte in the highest regard. That is how Alan also has his nickname of the Demon Lord and still lives that out, even though he's not at the academy where he got the original nickname in the first place. So I love Alan a lot. He is amazing, and again, I'm really thankful how he comes to Charlotte's aid, and you know, also how Charlotte's like, please don't beat people up. There was a really good moment in that last volume where she uses some magical ability, and I really liked it a lot. It was really good. So Alan, that's all I can say without going into spoilers, but I really love Alan and how, again, he comes to Charlotte's rescue and just protects her. For number 3, I love this character, and that is Noah from Why Raeliana Ended Up at the Duke's Mansion. Definitely, he lives this out to the fullest. And, you know, unlike Alan, who just beats up people, and even Suzumura, Noah's not afraid to physically take out somebody if they come and they engage with Raeliana. I mean, let's look at Justin. Raeliana can say Justin's name, and Noah is already getting irked and upset that she just said another man's name that was not Noah's name, and she had to refer to, I forget what Justin's last name is, but it'd be like Sir Phil and whatever his last name is. I feel bad for Raeliana at times, but there are definitely, I don't have any like super vivid moments coming to mind because I recently read volume 8 and I loved it so very much. So intense, so good. But Noah, I feel like there's definitely plenty of instances where people have tried to hurt Raeliana or come up to Raeliana, and it's like, no. And you know, there actually was a wonderful, excellent moment where, where Noah's like, if anybody comes to her and touches Raeliana, you're gonna die, with no exceptions. And so I'm going to have at least one solid example to share. And this is not his first time saying something like this. And unlike Charlotte, who I don't think realizes Alan and the things, all that he has done, Raeliana here definitely knows how possessive Noah is and how he will come to Raeliana's aid at any time. Even if she feels that she doesn't need aid and everything's gonna be okay, because we definitely know Raeliana can handle her own. She knows how to use a gun and all those things and looks incredibly amazing when she does, just saying. But yeah, Noah is not going to let anything slide by him when it comes to her. And honestly, I've loved Noah from the start, sort of because of that, even if times I'm like, Noah, that's a little bit much, buddy, just a little bit. But he is an amazing male lead, and I think he was one of, I feel bad because the next 3 I have, including Noah, they're all manhwa. Manhwa just, for whatever reason, in many of the stories I've read, they really have that touch her and you die male lead. I don't have any qualms about this. And maybe it's just because the male leads are super amazing, but yeah, definitely Noah. And I feel like all of us love him because he's something else, and seeing him go from really cold-hearted in the beginning and really aloof, I think that would be the right word to use, but it's more on the colder side, to seeing how much of a softie he is in her hands. And this volume had so many great romantic moments. I really loved it. So yeah, I am definitely saying Noah for this trope today. Henry. For number 4, the guy who kicked off this conversation, or this trope, or like this video, I should say, is Helly from Dark Moon, the Blood Altar. I definitely gushed about this, in my last reading wrap-up video for volume 4, and how it was amazing. And Helly, yes, he may not seem like he has that impression of like, well, if somebody touches Suwa, the main female lead here, that, you know, he's gonna hurt him. But as the series goes on, and especially in volume 4, yes, that comes out in its fullness with that flashback. I won't talk about it, but let me just tell you that yes, if there was ever a doubt if Helly fulfills or is this kind of trope, it is in volume 4. You just gotta get there, you gotta see that flashback, and you will see Helly at his fullest when it comes to this trope, because yes, I mean, I definitely feel like when one character comes back, we didn't know them as a reader, but the boys do. When that character comes, he is super protective and is like, no, you better not even go near her, you better not even say her name, kind of thing, because he doesn't want any kind of harm to come to Suwa, period. I feel like that some of that would be sort of normal in the sense he is a vampire, we do have werewolves, and they have major beef with each other, and Suwa doesn't, or not, excuse me, Helly doesn't want Suwa to be around the werewolves. So there's definitely where I feel like, you know, that vibe in general of toucher, I'm coming for you, because they're, you know, the vampires and werewolves clashing. But it really does go much deeper than that as you learn things more about Helly and see that flashback in volume 4. It is everything, and I was here for it. I was thriving as a reader. I was living for it, and I really hope that we do see, as bad as it may sound, I really do hope we see him acting more like that, because I do feel there's a moment where they're talking of like, you know, your real feelings are not coming out. And I'm like, yeah, they're not. They haven't in these earlier volumes, but the further we've gone on, we've seen them slowly leak out, and I'm really hoping we see more of it. Because again, just going back to that flashback, it was everything, and it honestly, I've loved the series thus far, but volume 4 was ultimately the one that I'm like, I am not dropping this series. I am fully invested. I want to read more, because I just was sort of unsure. I didn't feel like at the end of volume 3 I wanted to drop it, but volume 4, it spoke everything. So I would just highly recommend, if you want to see him at his fullest when it comes to You Better Not Touch Suha, because it's coming for you, you gotta read volume 4. It is so very good. For number 5, last but definitely not least, I am saying Henry from The Remarried Empress. He has been one of the most interesting manhwa characters I've read, because so often, more often than not, I forget that he may act like a golden retriever kind of character, but he really does have a dark side. In fact, this past week when I was reading the latest chapter on Webtoons, I'm gonna leave the screenshot here, somebody said, you know, if he hadn't fallen in love with Navier, he really would be a villain. He would be like a dictator. And it's just like, you know, yes, yes. And I cannot vividly remember if it's in the physicals, because I've been reading on Webtoons, so I'm reading it twice more or less because I love this series so much. But there is a moment where somebody tries to harm Navier. Let's just say that when Henry really goes all out in his protection, his love for Navier, it is extreme. It is extreme, because he's like, you know what? I'm going to put rocks in their mouth, and then I'm going to sew up their mouth, and then I'm going to throw them in the dungeon. And I'm like, you know, I forgot you were like this, Henry. I forgot you were like this. But even this past week, when Navier got injured, and yeah, he's doing some things. And I'm like, he is doing some things. I still love his character, though, very much. Like, he's amazing. That may sound really bad to say right after what I just said. But also, Navier's brother. He can do no wrong. He is, I mean, I know they're siblings, but I love his character so much. He's definitely beating up people as well. And I'm like, that's okay. That's okay, because Navier deserves the world. But yeah, Henry, he may act very sweet, and I think genuinely when he's with Navier, his feelings are sincere, and just don't ever cross that line though of hurting Navier ever, period, because you're going to lose your life in some way, in some fashion. And it doesn't matter if you're a man or if you're a woman, because we have seen things with a female character, not Rashta, but we have seen things with another character. It was pretty extreme as well. And it gets uncomfortable at those times, because I'm like, Henry, you're just so golden retrieverish, and then and these moments you're not, and I'm like, oh my goodness. The coping there is something I've had to really come to like learn, deal with kind of thing. It sounds bad to say deal with because again, I love his character. It's just like, man, it's really intense when you see that other side of him. So maybe on the surface it may seem that Henry doesn't live out, you know, touching Navier, that's it for you, but no, y'all, he does. He has taken out people for real. Noah has been to that point almost. Helly has been to that point where he tried but didn't fully succeed in volume 4. But Henry, yes, he has. And he's even said, if I could bring this person back, I would make them experience double of what they did. So yeah, just be aware of that. Just be aware of that. And yeah, I agree with that commenter of like, if he had not fallen in love with Navier, I don't know what kind of man he would be, but he would be pretty scary because most of the time he's pretty great around Navier. So I hope Navier stays for a long time, and I'm sure she will because she's so happy and deserves all that happiness. This is about Henry, not Navier. So very good. I love this character. Just those moments I feel like are emotional whiplash when it comes out of how he will not let anybody ever hurt Navier, and if you do, I pity you, buddy. And that, my friends, wraps up all of my picks for male characters who, if you touch their female lead, your life is done for. I would love to hear from you though. What are some male characters or even female characters, if they touch their man, that's it. I would love to hear who you would share. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. Bye!